money, because we all need the money for here, because we're saying that we're coming up with like an $800 million deficit already for this year. There's $460 million right there that's just sitting there and being laundered, and plus the Pennsylvania Insurance Company Corporation has got 15 point something $8 billion.
Okay, I'll research that.
It goes
like
all
I
the
said,
way up to the vice president.
Well, hold on 1 second. Where'd Bob go? Did they move her up?
We're coming from these next door.
Oh, I thought they had it in the fire. Okay, well, we'll keep going. I thought we had to be out here by 7, so, okay, yeah, I thought they used this building. I thought we had to be done.
We just voted this building.
Oh, okay.
What about that toll road 80? They would have been that toll road 80.
You know,
Is it dead? I hope it's dead.
just today, I didn't see the press conference, but the governor was going to have a press conference today that the federal government rejected the tolling of I-80. It's been rejected 2 prior times. Now, the official announcement is tomorrow, I think, but all day today, news reports were leaking out that it's going to get rejected. I haven't received an official notification yet, but I heard that at like 4 or 5 o'clock, the governor was going to do a press conference, and most of the people around here are against that proposal. I voted against that legislation when we had it, and I didn't want the people working to, try to get it, so the federal government wouldn't approve it. There's a group of us. We actually skipped voting session one day. We took 2 van loads of legislators down to Washington. We met with the federal transportation officials, and we put our case down there and explained what was wrong with the whole idea of tolling Interstate 80. And we explained what a shell game it was, using money from tolls on one road, to spend on mass transit and to spend on other roads, just completely inconsistent with what the federal regulations and rules are. And so that today, if that becomes official, that's really the 3rd time that proposal has been rejected. Unfortunately, it doesn't really, it seems like it doesn't like permanently get rejected. It just keeps saying, no, you can't do it yet, and then they keep trying. Now, hopefully this is a more permanent rejection than the first 2. The first 2 rejections were just kind of conditional rejections. So we'll have to see what the official thing is tomorrow when it comes out. But I'm optimistic that they're going to give up on that. For people that aren't real familiar with how that would work, the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission would actually take over Interstate 80. It would no longer be a PennDOT road. The Turnpike Commission would run it, and they're just about as corrupt as anything you can possibly think of. The Turnpike Commission.
I mean,
And it's kind of scary. One of the Turnpike Commissioners recently resigned because he got busted for 2 different DUIs in his Turnpike vehicle. That's just the kind of corruption there is. The Turnpike Commission, most of the employees get appointed to their jobs by influential senators. It's a big political patronage system. And it's a complete mess. And it's scary to think that they can control 2 major roads in the state. Yes.
Is there any way we can keep the stoplight down?
Well, you know what? That is neat that Spartansburg now has a traffic light. If anybody hasn't driven clear through town, you better go today.
What it's doing is slowing down traffic and making Main Street safer. The people have to slow down so they see what's there. It's good for business. It's not a joke. It's the truth. Stop and think about it. It's for real.
Do people like the stoplight?
Did you ever back out that street before that light was there?
That is hard. Like if you're at the Dutch
If
Street.
some of them people flying up through there, I think we should leave the light there though.
I think it's for the real they
That's something that we should.
There's some real rocket scientists work there. Let's not even go there. $1.2 million that should have went on Main Street.
There you go.
I don't think PennDOT would authorize a traffic signal where there's no intersection. I mean,
See, this is one of the main things. All these agencies have all this authority. They're the ones blowing money, but we're the ones responsible for the bill.
There you go.
There it is, right there in black and white. We're paying the bill, and they got all the authority in the world to change the earth, the moon, and the stars.
No idea what.
Do people like the traffic light? I mean, you like it?
Helps people to cross the street too, doesn't it, with a crosswalk? Yeah, you know, that's the important thing.
What about a stop sign there? Would that do the same thing?
No.
Because traffic lights are very expensive. I'm not sure what the cost is, but
You got the money, come on.
Gonna run on solar power.
They do run on the solar.
over in Mayville, they're actually in the process of taking traffic lights out. They've replaced a lot of intersections with stop signs. So the traffic lights, it's a lot of maintenance on them, it's a lot of expense, you know, electric light bulbs, service agreements, everything else. It's expensive to have a traffic signal. And, pardon?
Rolling stops.
It wasn't so bad.
Yes. Who's first? Go ahead.
All right, like we're talking about the suit against the federal government of the health care. What about the education? The Constitution of the United States says we give the federal government any authority over education at the state level. It should be. I know President Bush is the one who did No Child Left Behind, which has cost us an arm and a leg. And this new legislation is going to come out, it's going to get worse. I know that some of the writing, when you read the bill, some of the things in there are good, but they don't enhance education. They bring education down. And I think that not only should we be fighting against the federal government telling us we have to buy health insurance, we should be fighting against the federal government telling us how we should run our schools and the things that we should do. I think that we should actually legislation needs to get that.
It's also too that those are good points. Something else a lot of people don't realize, you know more than most of us in here do, but the federal government really only provides what, about 10% of the budget? 4%. 4% of the budget. So for all the paperwork that you have to do, all the rules and regulations and everything like that.
You have to follow, and all the things you have to file, and the internet service you have to be on, and all of the things that you have to compile. You know, we had to hire 3 or 4 extra people just to do the paperwork so that we can file or complying with the federal regulations, which are about to change, so we get to do it all over again. And that overhead, we just get from the work.
And I think, doesn't the United States Department of Education, doesn't that only go back to about the 70s?
Well, there was no teeth in the federal law until No Child Left Behind by President Bush. And that's when it really began.
I think
Jimmy Carter from the Department of Education.
Carter.
And even a couple years later, Reagan tried to get rid of it. Forget it.
it'd be interesting to look at national, graduation rates before we had the U.S. Department of Education and afterwards to see if there's been any improvement.
If you say the No Child Left Behind sounds really good, but what happens is that if you have children in your district which you are not disciplining anymore, and they won't do the work in the classroom, and if you don't bring them up to the education of the other kids in your school, you get penalized for funding. So if you can't make this kid learn, what do? You bring the top down to the bottom so that everybody looks the same, so you keep getting your money. And it's reverse. It does exactly the opposite of what the real purpose of the bill was, so that you can bring those kids that are lowly educated up to where the other kids are. What it does is it brings your kids that are doing well in school down to that level. You have to dumb down people so that the school districts can get all the money. It's a terrible situation, and that's what's happening. That's what happened.
The solution to that is winning elections. Speaking of which, have you guys in the Republican caucus thought of making a contract with Pennsylvania specifically regarding defunding all these state agencies that your predecessors especially have given all these guys? All this power has been given to the DEP because that all comes from you guys. You guys are the ones that ultimately gave all these agencies all this power over our lives. And A lot of that's